Hi, my name is Kim McMillon, and I'm the editor of Blackfire This Time, published by Willow Books. And I want to welcome you to our participation in the New Orleans Poetry Festival. I'm so glad to be here with my co-host, Lucinda Clark, and the wonderful poets Tony Bolden, Megha Sood, Tureeda Mikell, Aldon Nielsen, and Judy Juanita. And we're just all here and it's a beautiful day and we're just so excited to start this off. So we're going to start off the program with the wonderful Tony Bolden reading his work in the anthology Blackfire This Time. Tony is an associate professor of African and African American Studies at the University of Kansas. He also is teaching and does research work on African American music, African American literature, and cultural studies. I'd like everyone to give a warm welcome to Tony Bolden.
Oh, thank you for your work, Kim. I'm full professor now.
So congratulations. That's wonderful.
Okay. So the poem I'm going to read today that's included in the collection is titled Blues People, and that title is taken from Amiri Baraka's great book of the same name, Blues People. Blues is Black folks' literature, memory stored on a pentatonic scale. Cultural philosophy distilled in song, the low-end theory, Black thought embodied in body talk, like James Brown's camel walk, the cakewalk and crip walk, slow drag rhythm, and holy profane, the shimmy shake whipped to a jelly, cold duck and hucklebuck, the dog catcher, or take the moon walk, Black down memory lane. Bill Bailey bopped a backslide in dope stage exits a decade before the king of pop was born. And Verta Mae Grosvenor spacewalked into the future of a three-sided dream, astral traveling through galaxies on a sunship with Sun Ra when Michael Jackson played bongos on an oatmeal box in Gary. Blues lingo, a tale told in pitch, swivel hips and harmonies, historiography composed in Vance, runs in E flat, lexicon like Dogon, the funky frequencies of falsetto. Imagine 5 generations crammed into a bass line, tone colors like bright Mississippi, encircled inside golden bells of a home, talk box, or the Kansas City two-step, roughneck rhythms in a riff, jumping at the woodside like jitterbugs and confirmation, configurations of Black soundscapes, sampled from half notes and 5/4 themes, fine and mellow as Billie Holiday's White Gardenia, yet tragic as a heroin needle. Holiday's life was a broken blues record, her voice scarred like 6 strings of a bottleneck guitar, 12 bars of pain, picked and strummed over misogyny and bruises in the land of Jim Crow. Good morning, heartache. Here we go again at the Savoy Ballroom, Battle of the Bands in 1937, the Lindy Hoppers spinning like tops, jamming in midair like a Ella Fitzgerald scat solo. She's singing to beat the band, a blues chorus of staccato swing, vocal percussion, of old school freestyle, straight, no chaser, right off the top of the dome, a rhyme scheme of dance moves written inside a drum like a wang bang doodle all night long.
Did you have anything else, a short poem to read, or is that what you're planning to read? It's beautiful, by the way. Absolutely beautiful.
That's it. You said
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. Well, Tony, thank you. Uh, Your poem has a musicality to it that is just beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next poet is Megha Sood. She is a Pushcart nominated award-winning poet, editor, author, and literary activist based in New Jersey, USA. She is an associate poetry editor at, I love the name of this, it's in the United Kingdom, Mookie Chick. I love you to give a warm welcome to Megha. Hi, Megha.
Hi, Dr. Kim. Thanks so much for the generous introduction. Um, I'm going to be reading two poems. One of it is a part of the anthology, and the first one is called Asphyxiated, and it's inspired by the death of the people who were killed in the Grenfell Tower fire in 2017. And the survivors of Grenfell are still awaiting justice while the official inquiry refuses to recognize the systemic racism of social inequality and institutional response as contributing to the disaster. So the poem is called Asphyxiated. They say eyes are the window to the soul, yet yours are shut tight, saturated with injustice and discrimination, birthing around you in every passing moment, the raging flames engulfing the last sliver of hope, of light, of love, sucking out from every single soul holding on to their loved ones in that fateful tower that day. They say an artist takes in the beauty through their eyes, and yet yours are closed, overwhelmed with the injustice, the rage and inequality, hoping of the day, the perfect utopia, where everyone is blessed with the basic privilege to live, to love, to breathe. They say eyes are the embodiment of the soul, a metaphor for the muted language spoken between the souls, and yet yours are closed shut, averting the view from all the hunger and greed burning and leaving, the stench of devouring flames, a putrid stench of indifference towards your life. They say, take in the world through all your senses, and yet you divide yourself from this ethereal experience as your world burns down from inside, screaming and whelping. The injustice leaves welts and blisters on your separating skin. When the empty words shower like the scarring acid rain on your open wounds, you scream, you wail in the hollow nights, hoping for a single soul to lend their ear, to hear you screaming, I can't breathe. And the next one is called Peace. Thank you so much. Peace, a metaphor for denial. And this was the national level winner of the Poetry Matters project in the year 2020. Peace, a metaphor for denial. Peace, an act of ignorance, an act of denial, is not bliss, no more. When silence is gutted like a fish and the blood of your own fills the street. How long can you be the puppet in your own peaceful country? This act of abandonment speaks a muted language for all the hearts trapped like sparrows on the other side of the town. The wall creates a boundary between me and humanity. They're still considered illegal with one foot in my land, another bloodied and stuck in the barbed wire that are put around God's own country. I was born with the privilege to call the piece of earth my own, no matter it is laced and seeped with someone else's blood. It belongs to me now. The young boy is shot. The pavement is stained by the color of his blood, dark and useless to the people of this peaceful country. Those who pull out the armrest and the beach chairs to see the stars lit up the sky and the deafening noise muting the wails of a widowed mother. They sip the beer as cold as their souls, leaving the scene with a shrug and a short sigh. Ignorance is bliss. Peace is a metaphor for denial in this country I call mine. That's it.
Wow, it's amazing. I just want to thank every single poet here today is a gem. And I'm just grateful that you all are here. And I hope the noise here isn't too much. I just thought it would be less noisy outside. And I went outside, but I'm not so sure. But anyway, we'll go on. And this is a wonderful poet speaking next, Tureeda Mikell. Uh, she's named the story medicine woman, and there is reason for that. Tureeda has published 72 at-risk classroom student anthologies. She was featured at Soul of a Nation at the De Young Museum in San Francisco. She's also was a delegate in a poet storytelling delegate in Beijing, China. So, what I have to say, this is a group of poets that have really traveled, and their voices represent so many different parts of the world. I feel very lucky to have them in the book Black Fire this time. I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to Tureeda. Hi, Tureeda. Tureeda,
Hi, how are you, Kim?
just
Thanks so much for that. Excuse me? Oh, okay.
I said I'm happy to see you. Very happy to see you.
Oh, okay. Let me, okay. There. All right. I am thankful to be here and to have this level of work in the book, because we have dimensions to ourselves, and I'm just sharing experiences. If I hadn't run in circles when 3 years old on fields of grass with blackbird chasing me or me chasing it, if I hadn't remembered recurring dream at 7 years of age, swallowing small stones, choking under bright sky in front of a long dark tunnel holding pinpoint light, if my body hadn't heaved and cried that day in 1989, recalling what happened 17 years prior with a chemistry professor who said I could not use the problem-solving methods of Africans with whom I had studied because they were going back to Africa, I was not. If I hadn't learned PTSD and PTSS are body's cognitive abilities to understand remembered pain. If I hadn't experienced migraines while studying for 3 exams, looking for subjects' connectedness with a circle, reading a book given me titled Moon 2, and find a quote that read, "For the African to disengage one's subject from life's circle would paralyze the rest," and have migraines disappear shortly thereafter. If I hadn't been haunted by small globular lights of Van Allen belts, solid gold lime purple spheres amassing iridescent lights that would suddenly appear, and learn interdimensional beings do exist. If I hadn't been awakened from by a tiger watching me calmly in a dream, heard a spirit come down the roof through the ceiling and feel its weighted impression sit next to me. If I hadn't called and talked to a Zen Buddhist priest for 2 hours who assured me I was not going mad nor had I committed a sin, but was merely entering my enlightenment. If I hadn't had my chart calculated 5 times, aligning on earth as it is in heaven, interpreting my idea of an active noun-verb agreement system. If I hadn't recognized while studying organic and inorganic chemistry that iron is not only commonly found in the body, but throughout the universe, causing life to be pulled or repelled in some way. If I hadn't witnessed a slug-sized lip-suctioning leech undulate around a relative's head as though looking for a place to land, and when it did, weeks later, relative could not lift her head. And if I hadn't suggested she see a Chinese acupuncturist who said at the end of the examination, it is as though something has sucked the life force from her head, which left me questioning, what did I see? If I hadn't read in the book, The Archaeology of Knowledge, we must also ascribe to the institutional sites from which the doctor makes his discourse. If I hadn't worked in a mental institution as a lab tech and learned the difference between a psychic and a sick psychic. If I hadn't heard the birds' crying song while napping, unable to discern how I knew their cry, only to get up, open the door and see birds fluttering wildly over lifeless friend adored. If I hadn't heard a helicopter in Oakland fly over my house, drop something on the house at the corner that sounded like a loud swoosh on May 13th, 1985, around 2 a.m. on the West Coast. And if I hadn't read the newspaper later that morning that a helicopter had dropped a bomb on the MOVE organization's house at the corner of Osage and Pine in Philadelphia around 5 a.m. on the East Coast, and noticed a 3-hour time difference. If I hadn't felt a patient's medication on his right eye, as if a web on my left eye, and associated molecular isomers, mirroring molecules. If I hadn't seen rainbows near sun and clear skies as if to illume answers of question to insight, if I hadn't been pulled outside to bow my head, point to the vastness of the sky, and at the tip of my finger, see a shooting star arrive, if I hadn't awakened abruptly from sleep to see Isis, the Greeks call Sirius, watch over me, or heard a voice say, you have fidelity in the law and it will be used as your trench. I might not have learned that the Dogons of West Africa once every 50 years parade the reflection of Star Ahmad B around A, wear headdresses that resemble telephone poles because their eyes have not been corrupted. I may not have recognized my ancestors saying I come from mystics who believe in hearing the inaudible, touching the intangible, and seeing the invisible. Thank you.
Thank you for that powerful poem and that powerful reading. I feel just so much gratitude to be here with such beautiful poets. Thank you. This is amazing. You know, that's all I can say. The words amazing come to mind. And now another poet that is just, I've learned so much from Aldon about poetry. Aldon Lynn Nielsen is a poet and a scholar. He is the George and Barbara Kelly Professor of American Literature at the Pennsylvania State University. He was the first recipient of the Larry Neal Award for Poetry and has since received the Samla Studies Prize, the Josephine Miles Award, the Darwin Turner Award, the Caden Prize. In other words, he's been awarded. And what I love about this poem that Aldon's going to read is it gives us a glimpse of Miri Baraka, a true genius. And of course, with Larry Neal, the editors of Black Fire, published in 1968. Please give a warm welcome to Aldon.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read two poems. They're both dedicated to men who are my teachers in my student days, which I shudder to confess were more than 4 decades ago now. This first one is in the anthology that Kim has been working on so hard for so long. I can't wait to read my copy of it. I actually have still my copy of Black Fire that I bought when I was, 18 years old, autographed by Amiri. I was so stupid. I didn't get Larry Neal to autograph it too. There can't be very many copies with both of them. But anyway, so this first poem is simply titled In a Class with Baraka. In the end, then, to a room half hangs outside the hall, trashed, overheated, pupils smart, ashes add up under chairs, motes streaming cling to blinking lids. An odor of investment accrues to this room. English beats against the glass, shadowing through the panes upon the table, obstructing paths of passing planes. The capital's accumulation of images in the mute wavering grain is something we dissect, practicing between ourselves the removal of harmful forms. Head at the window, scarring the glass, meaning glazes over the watching White House, beating back American artist in residence in the new Department of Corrections, planes the blades of our speech, asks examples. Mine is of a piece with a room at an end that hangs outside in essential popular air. Mine is of a flight that exclaims. Fingers against the glass, I check my watch, prepare to give examples. And the second one from my undergraduate days, even farther in the past. All the places we've been, a prayer for Gil Scott-Heron. Take me to the pilot played on the radio, but we didn't know you in our first class. Gloves out at fingertips, braids beneath leather cap, busied yourself, then busied us. Busy as you were, the Fender Rhodes Scholar of Bluesology was to be our pilot who the cap fit. That first minute of that winter day when nobody knew what to say, we were to be riders on the storm. Time was right up on us. Time was tight. The now that was more than ever was what brought us together. Federal cities, ungranted land housed our unmitigated band. We were the unruled unruly. We thought we'd call it morning, that storm music. No small talk at Second and E. Did you hear what they said back home? A toast to the people, ain't no new thing. From South Africa to South Carolina, we wrote, and writing rose within our souls. We couldn't know, watching your hands spider across the keys, how you were to end. How drift away was to be your closing number. Precious Lord, take his hand. Thank you.
Beautiful. And it's just beautiful. And the thing is, if you see a poet that you want to go and listen to, please do it. I remember Gil Scott-Heron was at San Francisco State all the time. And I thought, oh, I can go see him next week or he'll be back. But time flies and you miss something that's quite beautiful. And to have they had the opportunity to write about such knowing figures of this nature and writing about them is really a real blessing and just beautiful work. Our last poet is the incomparable Judy Juanita. Judy has an amazing background as a I don't know if I should say it, a former Black Panther, or because maybe Black Panther for life is how I see it. But Judy is, I use so many of your pieces and I'll be using them in my classroom because one of the reasons I actually was the editor for Black Fire this time, because I wanted to see this type of work in the classroom. And and you all are geniuses as far as I'm concerned, each one of you. Now, Judy was at SF State in the 1960s. She joined fellow student protesters to revolutionize American higher education and create the nation's first Black Studies department. Her semi-autobiographical debut novel, Virgin Soul, features a young woman in the 1960s who joins the Black Panther parties. It's really a must read. I'd like you all to give a very warm welcome to Judy Juanita.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Kim. Dr. McMillon, I so appreciate you. And I have to say, I really appreciate our young scholars, young scholars who, put in that heavy work to get their graduate degrees and their undergraduate degrees in Black studies and African studies. And they're really carrying the banner on, and Kim is leading the way. So thank you very much for that. You're helping bolster and leave the legacy. Okay, I'm just going to read a couple of things from the book, the latest book, Manhattan My Ass. You're in Oakland, and I carefully selected. Okay, Mama love you, yepper do. Mama love you, yepper do. Big old baby boy, love to slap her red bag of mad against your suede, soft baby buttock. Mama love you, never likes to swim the sea of tears. Find that ragged lobster claw, snap, crack shell of hate that swacks your baby booty, end to end your baby smile to sad. Mama love you, little poopy, even pooping in your pants and play until your poops hang low as fishies in a net. Mama love you, all the whacking, slapping, hitting, spitting in your sleep. Mama with her daddy hands, her daddy strength, her daddy might makes right. Mama love you, even when you sang a sweetie Petey kicked and whipped for stealing gum. In tubs, you sang and whistled like a chirp in water hot to etch your whipping twice into your nerve. Mama love you, yepper do, watching for your footsteps through the door, fishing in yem smoke-soaked red-rimmed eyes. Whoa, you smile, those eyes at what they saw, big old baby boy, taking all the touch and tough inside those brown big eyes. Mama love you, yepper do, more for all the less. The switch, the swack, the slap cheek shriek, the speedy harsh caress. Mama love you, yepper do, how were you to know? Mama love you, yepper do, love you, yepper do. And there's bling. Somebody jumped off slave ships for this. Somebody mailed himself in a box from slavery to freedom for this. Somebody else ran like heck from the patty rollers for it. And somebody stood up to the Ku Klux for it. Somebody rioted for it. Somebody sang their heart out for it. Somebody blew somebody's socks off for it. Somebody blew their own brains out for it. Somebody died for this bling bling. Even as Julian Bond wrote, look at that girl shake her thing. We all can't be Martin Luther King. Somebody fought just and unjust war for your bling bling. Somebody died on Parchment Farm at the whipping boss's hand for it. Somebody became Baraka, Intozaki, Mathubuti, Sekou Touré, so you could be P, Snoop, Biggie, Lil Jon, Lil Kim, Lil Slim, Jeezy, Uncle Cracker. Somebody else with perfectly Anglo-Saxon names, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, died shot to death at 4 a.m. for this thing. Somebody upheld our long tradition of thought. Dudley Randall wrote about the melting pot. Shove your old pot. You can like it or not, I'll be just what I am. Somebody died not to be called boy. Their noble deaths allow you to be big boy. Somebody bled to learn the alphabet A to Z, giving you license with all 26 letters and the apostrophe. Somebody dreamed not this dream, but a way out of nightmare. And you wake in the middle of it, bling, thinking it's free and clear, but things aren't always what they appear. Somebody died a ludicrous death for ludicrous to appear. A son of Emmett and Ishmael, recklessly eyeballing everyone under the sun. Somebody learned the dictionary from aardvark to the N for your bling. Somebody's black bosoms suckled whomever they had to for your bling bling. Somebody played maid, butler, dummy, mammy, convict, slave, so you could be Marilyn Monroe in blackface, so you could bring Hollywood to the hood. Bling, bling, bling. Somebody gave one insignificant, unsung, whole, wondrous life for it. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That was powerful because it just reminds you that we're here because of others. That Black Fire this time could not have happened if Black Fire had not have happened, or the new Negro. There's so much that we have just thank our stars for. And when I hear the stories that, and some of them are in the book, of what people had to go through, Nikki Giovanni writes about in one of her poems, the Pullman Porters, how they had to actually throw the Chicago Defender, the let you know what's happening with regard to lynching, let you know what's happening with regard to other communities. And they went through the South and they threw these newspapers out so we could know. And so we are just standing, we're standing on the sky, of others. So thank you so much